Hello everyone, welcome to Asura Psych, and today we're going to be discussing another archetype related to a type. So the archetype we're going to be discussing today is the ENTJ and the Commander archetype. So the ENTJ is often related to the Commander or General archetype, specifically in fiction and movies, things of that nature, because of their general overt nature related to their function stack and thinking. And that's what we're going to discuss in this video. Let's get into it. First, we need to look at the ENTJ's function stack. They lead with extroverted thinking, they have secondary introverted intuition, tertiary extroverted sensing, and repressed introverted feeling. The ENTJ is the function stack cousin of the INTJ, except introverted intuition and extroverted thinking are swapped. So what does extroverted thinking as a dominant function mean for the ENTJ? Well, extroverted thinking is a function that is primarily associated with efficiency and how good something can be, making things better. Let's compare and contrast it to introverted thinking. Introverted thinking is a function that is focused on internal consistency and making sure that things make sense from a logical standpoint. Extroverted thinking is not so much focused on whether or not something makes sense or if it has logical consistency, but more so how useful the information is or how that information can be used. Whereas introverted thinking is trying to build an internal framework, extroverted thinking is trying to improve upon a system or create some sort of system that can make information more useful. Now, this function is extremely useful when paired with the ENTJ's secondary function, introverted intuition. Now, introverted intuition is a perceiving function that focuses on kind of the future and how something might play out from a perception standpoint, not a logical standpoint. Now, when you combine this ability with extroverted thinking, the ability to see and improve upon systems, then you have a type that is going to be very good at predicting outcomes and making sure that they achieve the outcome that they want to achieve. This is where you tend to find the ENTJ being the commander, because they're the type who is going to be able to make a plan on the spot that is going to have an impact for the future. Let's compare and contrast this to the ESTJ, which is more so known as the executive than the ENTJ. So the ESTJ has introverted sensing as their secondary function, as their perceiving function. Introverted sensing is a function that is more so focused on the past and maintaining what is already made. So this allows the ESTJ to kind of get into a upper end management position and hold down the fort. They're going to be extremely good at making sure things are maintained on an executive level. Whereas the ENTJ, on the other hand, is going to be kind of hyper-focused on taking what they have now and bringing it to the next level. Now, this isn't to say that the ENTJ is always going to be focused on kind of moving things forward, but they tend to have more so a future-focused mindset compared to the ESTJ, which is kind of focused on the now and maintaining what they already have. Because intuition is higher than sensing in the ENTJ's function stack, the ENTJ is going to have a little bit worse attention to detail than the ESTJ is. And more importantly, they're going to be less interested in detail compared to the ESTJ. So this is going to lead the ENTJ to kind of sometimes make mistakes when it comes to having all of the information and making sure they've double-checked everything. But this is the reason that ENTJs often tend to pair well with introverted sensing types or types who are sensing dominant types, because they allow the ENTJ to be grounded in their information and not jump to conclusions or make a plan before making sure they have all of the details and information they need. Introverted feeling is a repressed function for the ENTJ, and it can be a difficult repressed function to explain, in my opinion, because introverted feeling repressed is going to lead the ENTJ to often have this strong identity, but they're also going to be largely separating it from whatever their professional pursuit is. For example, the executive manager type, the ENTJ, might have a strong interest in something, but they're likely going to detach it heavily from whatever their professional interest is. They're going to be extremely work-oriented when they are at work or doing anything associated with whatever goal they have. Now, when they go back to their private life, they may be the type who has strong interest, but they're just not going to be the types to share them. Now, this displays itself when they're actually in their work field or whatever they're doing, because they're going to be the types who are going to not associate personal interests with their job. They're going to be the ones who are going to say, let's get this done. We need to focus. We need to make sure this is complete. And they're not only going to expect that of themselves, but they're going to expect that of the people they work with. And this can be a problem area for the ENTJ. Because feeling is repressed overall within the extroverted thinking dominant type, they're going to have problems making sure that they account for the feelings of everyone who they are with and everyone who is under them within whatever field they're working in. ENTJs are often likely to struggle with being the all work and no play types because they're the types who are not going to be able to relax until they've kind of accomplished what they need to accomplish, or they're at least working towards what they want to accomplish. This is going to be much like the INTJ in that sense. Because these types are future-oriented problem solvers, they're going to be the types who aren't going to be satisfied and able to rest until they're at least making progress towards whatever it is they want in life. So now that we know all the functions of the ENTJ, we can really begin to piece together why this type is the commander and how they relate to that archetype. So a commander is typically someone who is at the front of the lines, or maybe even in the back, but they're at the very least shouting, giving commands, telling people what to do, creating a plan on the fly. This very much relates to the ENTJ personality type. The ENTJ is the type who's going to be able to think ahead, but also make an efficient and organized plan. They're going to be the types who are going to be able to organize large amounts of external information, such as people or things that need to be done, and make sure they are done in an order that is going to allow everything to be achieved when it needs to be achieved. And they're going to be the types who are going to be the most productive when it comes to doing this. I would say they're going to be even more productive than the extroverted thinking secondary types like the INTJ and the ISTJ. This is why the ENTJ and the ESTJ often do very well in leadership positions, because they're going to be the types that are hyper-focused on making sure things are done. They're going to be the types that are hyper-focused on productivity. Now, this can also present itself as a character flaw, as mentioned earlier, because they might be the types who are going to ignore the personal needs of others around them and the needs of people and their desires as humans, really, because extroverted thinking as a dominant function is going to ignore the human needs side of things. And this is why you very rarely find extroverted thinking dominant types in positions related to kind of human resources or things along those lines. They tend to more so end up in executive type positions that allow them to tell others what to do or allow them to at least make a plan when it comes to working with other people instead of working with them on a one-to-one level. Alright everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this look at the ENTJ and its relation to the commander archetype. I'm planning to do an archetype video for all 16 personality types because I really enjoy doing the ESFP hero archetype video. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend going to watch it. So if you have any ideas related to each of the 16 types and what archetype you think they may be related to, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section below. Just a reminder that I do have a Patreon and I also do personality typing sessions professionally as a certified Myers-Briggs Type Indicator practitioner. If you would like to know more about that, feel free to check out my website, asurapsych.com. This has been Asura at Asura Psych. Have a good one.